Ladies and gentlemen, let's game into the video. If you're interested in Skylake, well, we have some information for you. There's actually a bunch of information, and it doesn't exactly tell us all of the specifications of the chips, but it does give you an idea of what Intel are planning. So, if Broadwell's not for you, and you're not really convinced of getting rid of, say, your Sandy Bridge as yet, and you really do want to wait for Skylake, it's looking to be pretty good upgrade. So we're going to go first of all into the top line CPUs. There's actually a multitude of different SKUs. There's actually 10 of them. But we're going to focus primarily on the top couple, which are mostly going to be for enthusiasts. So you've got the 6700K, which is an i7, and the 6600K, which of course is an i5. You've also got a 6700, which is a non-K, a 6600, which is a non-K, a 6500, and also a 6400. So all of those, of course, cannot be overclocked. You cannot touch their multis at all. And then you've got the 6700T, 6600T, the 6500 and 6400, all Ts. But the one, as I said, we're going to be mostly focusing on is the enthusiast level, the 95 watts. Now, once again, just to reiterate, that's the 6700K and the 6600K. So, what do we actually get? Well, once again, to reiterate, it is a 95 watt performance level CPU, and it's going to be a quad core design. This is the 6700. Now, I've got to say that to a degree, I'm a little disappointed with that. I was kind of hoping for more cores as a standard at this point in time. I was hoping for, like, I don't know, a 6-core CPU. Obviously, it can handle 8 threads, thanks to the fact it is hyperthreading, but even so. Now, from the rumours, it would appear that it's 8 megabytes of level 3 cache and has a clock speed of about 4 gigahertz and actually can boost to 4.2 and does support DDR4 memory, that's 2133 megahertz, and also supports DDR3L, which is 1600 megahertz. So the 6600K is pretty damn similar. Main differences is that you can wave goodbye to the hyperthreading, as pretty much any of their previous line of processors since, say, Sandy Bridge has been. But the main difference that many will notice is the clock speed. The clock speed is down to 3.5 gigahertz base, but boosts all the way up to 3.9 gigahertz, and obviously the amount of level 3 cache has also been cut. So rather than having the 8 megabytes, you're down to only 6. There are supposed leaks concerning the performance, but whether you want to take these into account, it's up to you. Supposedly, you're going to be looking at about 15% increase over the i7 4790K, in other words, the Devil's Canyon, which will bring it in line with, say, the 5820K, obviously, which has 6 CPU cores, obviously with hyperthreading. But what about over, say, a Haswell? So let's say you own a 4770K, you're going to be getting about 30% performance increase, and obviously linearly that will also scale down to Sandy Bridge, whereas if you've got a 2700K, you're going to be looking at about 50% difference in performance compared to Skylake. Now, before everyone jumps up and down in joy, there are a few concerns I've got with this, and this is in no real order. Now, the bottom line is, for the moment, in terms of DirectX 11, it's probably going to be nice in terms of the, single core performance increases, but really, once DirectX 12 comes out, we really want to be pushing towards multi-core. And obviously we don't know what Intel are going to be up against in terms of AMD. I'm really hoping that AMD is super competitive with their processors, which are rumoured, of course, to be releasing not exactly soon, but from what we hear, they're going to be popping out in some point in 2016. Now, obviously, with the Skylake-s, they are going to be down to 14nm. The problem I've got from a gaming point of view is by the time DirectX 12 is released, which, let's say, not just the release of DirectX 12, the real kicker, of course, is the games itself. So let's say by all intents and purposes, the DirectX train is going to really start rolling out at the end of the year, possibly even 2016 before it's, you know, there's a good smattering of DX12 games out. So you've got to ask yourself, is Skylake going to be really a massive upgrade for many of us who are just gaming orientated? Now, obviously, if you're doing other stuff, maybe. It's just a bit of an odd situation. But I have to say that I am quite happy if these benchmarks are accurate, because compared to, let's say, Sandy Bridge to Ivy Bridge or Ivy Bridge to Haswell, you know, roughly 10%, obviously depending on the application, performance jump between each generation, which is not really been that impressive. I've said a couple of times over now that CPU performance has been rather stagnant, and it's just not really been great. So obviously from the point of view of, even if you are not counting DirectX 12, even if you're just counting pure DX11, single thread performance, we should notice a rather nice increase in performance. But it's really, of course, going to be DirectX 12 and the real multi-threading side of things where the gamers are going to benefit. However, for those who are not necessarily gaming, it's also going to be a very curious situation, because let's say you're doing video editing, then you've got choices of, like, as I've mentioned, the the 5820K or something similar. So it's like, well, you're going to have to make some considerations, like how many CPU cores can your application actually access, and is it better to go with, say, a different CPU? And if you've already got a good setup, definitely a bit of a strange one. I'm kind of looking forward to their release, though. I do think that the CPU market needs a bit of a shake-up, at least in my opinion. And obviously they do and are targeting slightly different segments of the market. And finally, of course, these benchmarks are not necessarily accurate. They could well just be, well, made up numbers, to be totally honest. Anyway, hopefully you've enjoyed the video. I've been editing most of today, to be totally blunt. The new show that we've been creating, pretty much ready. We've got all of the bits and bobs in. The green screen's all been set up. We've got all of the editing pretty much done. So hopefully, with any luck, I'm going to finish off the editing tomorrow and it will be popping up. I've had a few family issues over the last few days that I don't really want to get into too much, but even so, slowly soldiering through. Anyway, hopefully you've enjoyed the video. I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye for now.